On today's episode.
Big energy, Mike. We gotta get this. We gotta nail this. There's big news out there, Mike. There's big news.
Hey, it's exciting.
No, it's not exciting. It's a travesty. But
no,
who knows?
The Nets have a clear future plan ahead of them, which is to suck.
Well,
that's the plan, to suck.
That and so much more coming up next with the Good Guys.
Welcome back to the Glue Guys. This is Mike here. Say hello, Brian.
Hello.
Check us out on Twitter at Glue Guys, Netsdaily.com, The Athletic, get stuff by the paywall, TheAthletic.com/Glue Guys, a subsidiary of the New York Times. Brian, this is the end of the pod. Hey, everyone, the podcast is over. The Glue Guys are just folding up shop. Kevin Durant has requested a trade. Mike, Kevin Durant.
There's so much going on in my brain. I don't even know where to start with this news, Mike. Where to even? How about start with the fact that he waited for Kyrie to go through this whole riffraff with the player option, only to just ask for a trade the next day? What is happening here, Mike?
I will tell you that is, in fact, doing the Nets a favor here. It does. So we're going to get into it. This is all about.
Let's not start there. Start where you want to start.
It is doing a Nets a favor, the fact that Kevin Durant didn't tell them until now. Because imagine a situation where Kyrie opts out, then Kevin Durant requests a trade out of Brooklyn. By Kyrie being a part of this picture, at least it's another guy that they could throw in a trade and become. Because here's the honest truth, okay? You're going to hear a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of information that comes out as we are sort of, as we're potting right now. It's 3:14 p.m. It was maybe 15 minutes ago that this news got out via Woj by Rich Kleiman putting his name to it and telling Woj that this is happening. This isn't just reports, okay? No. This is him literally saying, Rich Kleiman, business manager and agent for Kevin Durant, that Kevin has requested a trade, and we're hearing a lot of information leak out as we're talking. This thing, whatever it is, it's probably going to be built around Ben Simmons at this point.
I'm like stun-locked right now.
Sam Amick reporting right now that the Nets are expected to keep Ben Simmons. This team is going to be built around Ben Simmons, and it's going to suck. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, baby.
It will actually do the Nets a disservice if they trade Durant and Kyrie and get, Jaylen Brown and because ultimately this team is not going to be good enough to do anything, and if they go back to the middle, if they're going to, let's say it's Kevin Durant to the Celtics, they get Jaylen Brown and picks. Let's say it's Kyrie to the Lakers, and they get Russell Westbrook. The team's going to suck, but it's a direction. Hey, Brian, it's direction. How are you feeling?
It is
bud?
Definitely a direction. We're headed in a direction one way or another. Yeah, I'm sort of stun-locked by the news, to be honest. So I didn't have a whole lot of thoughts prepared for this. It's going to be a pretty emotional, just emotion-based, feels-based kind of pod as far as this goes. I'm just thinking about in conceiving of packages, we're conceiving of Kyrie and KD going places to, obviously they're going separate ways, or is Kyrie necessarily on the trade block now, auto, just because of this? What happens here, Mike? I have so many questions for you. My gosh.
I don't think it's auto Kyrie Irving's on the trade block, but if I'm Sean Marks, if he's allowed to operate this franchise, let's be honest. He, as much as we've been defenders of the Marks regime, and he's done a lot of very good things, he built this team out of the ashes of Billy King to make them a franchise that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would want to go to. If you're Joe Tsai, you should probably fire Sean Marks at some point, because this can't happen. You can't build a team around Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, regardless of the circumstances, and James Harden is a part of the picture, and then everyone's going to be okay. That Steve Nash is going to be okay, that Sean Marks is going to be okay. Kind of have to make a decision. And this isn't a fire Sean Marks podcast. I'm just saying, in the wreckage of the greatest player in franchise history, regardless of how short that tenure is, if he is saying, I want to leave this franchise, it's really hard to maintain leadership in that circumstance. I don't know if you agree, but again, this is just so crazy.
I'm just really I'm truly stun-locked. I'm trying to think of interesting things to say other than just trying to think what comes back in this. The idea that we're building.
Do you know that the Nets have Royce O'Neal, by the way?
I did see that. I'm stoked. Super stoked on that. That's huge.
Thank God the team. So let me ask you this. So this, I tweeted a picture, a screenshot on my phone, and it's back-to-back tweets of Woj tweeting out that Durant requested a trade with the team today, and then Shams reporting Utah is trading Royce O'Neal to Brooklyn for a first-round pick. It's like, what realities are we living in?
Yeah.
What reality is like Royce O'Neal coming to Brooklyn for a first-round pick and Durant is being moved? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
Do you think I kind of talked about how this team's going to suck and, this is going to start this like long process to trying to build back a contender. But do you think Joe Tsai and Sean Marks are going to try to turn this into like usable pieces? Meaning like, are they going to try to get all draft picks, or is it going to be, hey, let's actually try to get like a real veteran here for Durant. Let's get another real veteran for Kyrie Irving. Apparently, Kevin Durant, the Wizards are not on his list of preferred destinations, so that would seem to eliminate Bradley
Suck on
Beal
that,
being
Wizards.
Bradley. Bradley Beal's not coming here. Not that he would want to. But
I'm just thinking about like I'm not even at the. Well, I'm all over the place, honestly. But I'm trying to think about like how we got to this place. There was a lot of reports in the wake of the Kyrie thing about how there had been some serious sit downs between Joe. Are you about to pop one? Are you about? Oh my god! What time is it?
I don't care. It's,
Oh my god!
it's KD
The
clock somewhere.
The man's been driven to the drink. Well, mazel. Good for you, Mike.
Just a spittle all over me.
There was apparently a whole lot of sit-downs with Kyrie and KD and I guess upper management, Josiah, Sean Marks inferred, about like, hey guys, like time to reassess this whole situation. I'm wondering if the conclusion from that isn't that like this is curdled, like fully well and good. Like Kyrie is, going to do whatever he's going to do. Kevin Durant is sitting cross-armed and not interested. And I'm wondering if, because again, these are two personalities that just, I imagine it would be, I know it's difficult for Kyrie. I would imagine it's difficult for KD to be wrested back from a team composition that is like, making them feel negatively in any way, and like it's not going to get better. So I'm just trying to think. Now I'm going into full copium mode, as you can tell. It's like they're trying to get ahead of the fact that this is going to be a slow descent with, now increasingly aging assets, and get some like really. I mean, like the packages that you're going to get for Kevin Durant, Mike. What are we going to see here? I mean, truly, we're trading what's. Still widely talked about as being the best player in basketball currently at just the very, very toppy, just almost trending downward peak of his prime. I don't know that we've ever seen something like that.
Well, so Woj reported that Phoenix and Miami are among two of the teams that Kevin Durant has on his wish list, but the Nets plan to move Durant where they can get the best possible deal with 4 years on his contract. Thank God he re-signed. There's no Woj didn't say that. I'm saying
That's
There's
us.
how hilarious would Woj say that? There's no shortage of teams
man's
willing
guy.
to unload assets for Kevin Durant. So that's a real question. Like, what package do you want? Do you want so? If it is Phoenix and Miami, that means it's like DeAndre Ayton led, or it's Tyler Hero centric package. Those are situations where even if Phoenix throws on their 5 first-round picks, all the picks and pick swaps unprotected, even if Miami does the same, all those picks are most likely going to suck. Though, of course, we thought the same thing when Brooklyn traded all those picks to Houston to get James Harden. We were like, well, those picks are going to suck. And now those picks are going to be awesome for Houston. And applaud Raphael Stone for making what will end up being another fantastic controlling the Nets draft assets going forward. The thing is, like, to talk about trade packages, there's just not that many teams that are contenders that have appealing draft pick, appealing young players. The team I thought about, and this would be very controversial, Golden State Warriors, Wiggins as the salary match, and you get Wiseman, Moody, and Kuminga. Maybe
Could you
throw
imagine
in
repeating this after again another championship? That's too much. That's almost too much for the narrative.
You know
arc.
what's too much?
Yeah.
Kevin Durant requesting a trade after Kyrie
Sorry.
Irving opts in.
You were going to say your trade, and I interrupted you, but I just was thinking out loud. Sorry, you were who? Wiseman and who?
It would be Wiseman,
Yeah.
Kuminga, Moody. So basically all the good young players on the Warriors, all those like guys on the bench who didn't play in the finals, but are somewhat interesting to varying degrees. All the Warriors' first-round picks. And I would be like, can we have Jordan Poole, please? Like, can we please have like another player on here? And Wiggins would be the salary matching thing. So, this is like fake trade season. Like, you know, there's going to be so many ideas of what they're going to do. I ask you, Brian, do you want the future value trade or do you want the present value trade? Present value trades being like DeAndre Ayton and 2 first-round picks, plus someone else pretty good on the Suns for KD. Or do you just want to send KD away for super young rookie contract guys, cheap guys, and a bunch of picks? Do you want the Oklahoma City Thunder route, which is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a bunch of picks that went to OKC? To me, what I think the Nets are going to do, and again, we're hurried, we're rushed. This all happened. We're all here with you in the moment.
We're one of you.
Accepting.
We're one of you in this moment. Okay.
Yeah. Thank God the Nets have Royce O'Neal. That's going to be the name of the podcast. I feel like Joe Tsai is going to want to compete, and I think the packages that he's going to want to take, DeAndre Ayton or Tyler Hero, and a bunch of picks, and maybe some other useful players. And then you send Kyrie Irving somewhere else. You trade him to whoever wants him for a year. You get another serviceable player plus picks, and you go from there. And then it's DeAndre Ayton, Ben Simmons, and point guard X.
I'm not like I'm not a DeAndre Ayton guy by any means, but now the reality is just kind of set in. A little bit with his name and Tyler Hero's name being bandied about as the central part of a trade package for Kevin Durant. At the very I mean, the question is like more to your point, like, is it a blow it up, sort of moment, play for the future, or stay competitive? I agree with you that, I mean, especially with just KD at his in particular at his value level. Not to say that we're not also trading Kyrie, like. Presumably, potentially, maybe. I don't know where we land on that, but I don't see why for those two guys you can't get a little of both. A little today, a little tomorrow, Mike. I don't know why my phone's exploding with messages right now.
Well, because Kevin Durant,
because everybody in my life is.
Joel Embiid goes, LOL. Thank God.
He said,
I mean,
LOL,
there's so much
thank God.
No, he said LOL. Kevin Durant made the request directly to Nets owner Joe Tsai today. Chris Haynes reports that the Suns is one of the preferred destinations, and real Quentin Mayo from DC area, has been saying for the past 24 hours that he's been hearing rumors. This is interesting, and I think we need to talk about this. Quentin Mayo is like a blogger guy here in DC, young guy who talks about the Wizards and works for BetMGM now as like a betting analyst. A year ago, he called the Spencer Dinwiddie to Wizards machinations, eventual sign and trade, way before anyone else knew it. Now, he's plugged into the Wizards, so that made sense. He, 24 hours ago, said, I'm hearing rumors that DeAndre Ayton is going to go to Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And people like John Hollinger, and nothing wrong with what John is doing, John Hollinger is reacting to the Ayton rumors before the KD news, saying, the Nets it's almost impossible for the Nets to make that happen, because if they got a sign and trade for Ayton, it hard caps them and they have to be below the luxury tax. Mm-hmm. And for the Nets, that would be pretty much impossible. Well, if they trade Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, it's very possible to get below the salary cap luxury tax line. Mm-hmm. And frankly, it could be something that Joe Tsai would appreciate, because this team is probably not going to win a championship going forward. Can I just address the DeAndre Ayton thing for a minute?
Please.
I understand it's an asset play. Like, hey, this is a really young guy, former number 1 overall pick, who's been productive, has gone to the NBA Finals. Obviously, the reason why the Suns don't really want to keep him is simply only because Robert Sarver, the team's owner, doesn't want to pay that luxury tax bill. Mm-hmm. But if we're supposed to believe in a future of Ben Simmons, a guy like DeAndre Ayton really doesn't help. Because who did Ben Simmons play with in Philly? Play with Joel Embiid, who's like 5 times the player that Ayton is, and a much better outside shooter. And Embiid and Simmons didn't work ultimately together.
Well, I
And
think
I don't
of
see
them as slightly
Ayton
different.
and
I mean,
Simmons working.
is Ayton still doing? Is he doing much of just like post, like mid post, like sort of just like going one on one with his defender? I feel like Ayton has. I mean, just mostly due to personnel, has been more part of like a just kind of dump off strategy. Like that's where he gets most of his points from. I mean, I know he's got more to his bag than that, but like, I mean, Embiid is sort of in a class of his own of ISO big man territory. Does Ayton do any of that stuff, or I don't know?
Well. So, but what I'm thinking is, if Simmons couldn't even work with someone as a supernova talent like Embiid who can shoot threes, he's not going to work with like a poor man's Joel Embiid who can't shoot threes, which is DeAndre Ayton. Like again, beggars can't be choosers, Bri. Mm-hmm. Where are we? Are we a beggar or are we a chooser? I don't know.
Yeah, hard to know. Hard to know.
Jesus, man. This is so I can't. It's like it's believable, but it's unbelievable because the emotional roller coaster that we have been on this entire year. Remember, there was that time. I don't know if you remember this. This team had James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. Do you remember? There was like a moment.
We had the most efficient offense in NBA history.
NBA history.
Yeah,
it was devastating.
Mike D'Antoni's offense, handcrafted. And
so that was cool. And then I felt like maybe things kind of went wayward. I'm not sure where.
It was Giannis. Giannis destroyed Kyrie's ankle, and everything's gone downhill from then. Now he's persona non grata.
This blowing up, this Nets situation, I mean, it will go down as the biggest sort of like dream team. Like people like to point to the Lakers photo of Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol, and Dwight Howard as like that was the ultimate disaster team. Mm-hmm. Frankly, the Nets are, that's.
I mean, in terms of marquee value up there, not a whole lot bigger names than what were up there for us. I mean, yeah, this is one for the books, Mike. But anyways, I mean,
Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal's a really good stretch floor. Thank God they got Royce O'Neal.
Okay, gun to your head, Mike. In Roblox. Does Kyrie
you keep saying that.
Does Kyrie play this season for the Nets? There's no way. Now, and also, why are they not friends, Mike? What happened here? I thought they were friends.
Also, what was the thing that made KD make the thing now? Like, what changed from the moment Kyrie opted in so what was that? That was like 2 days ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's a favor to us, but why? I don't, and like also why dilute, like, unless he wants to just not play with Kyrie and not say it. I mean, I don't want to start putting that into the airwaves. Maybe I do. But
what a turn of events that would be if he's leaving because Kyrie did opt in. Yeah. And then Sean and Joe would be like, you should have told us. Yeah. Like if you just said to us, don't get Kyrie. Well, I mean, obviously, it was all up to Kyrie.
We had it the exact opposite way. There was like, there was a miscommunication. When I said if Kyrie plays here, I meant like he has to not play here for me to play here. Interesting. I don't know. I'm all over the place, Mike. Obviously, this is going to be bad radio, but yeah, I don't know. So Kyrie I mean, Kyrie on a player option that presumably makes his trade value lesser, and so the sign and trade, I don't know. Now I'm just going all over the place because now going back to the Kyrie negotiation with this information in hand, does that change anything?
Yeah, I mean, it is awesome that the Nets have Kyrie Irving, but it is awesome that they have him in terms of an asset play. But there's no way he can play basketball for this team if Kevin Durant leaves. Like, do you want Kyrie Irving on your basketball team if Kevin Durant's gone? I don't want him around Ben Simmons, Cam Thomas.
What about the Socratic walks I talked about? We could really give him the keys to the Ferrari here, Mike, and he could be the guy.
What I would love is if like the Nets trade Kyrie to Utah for Donovan Mitchell or something, and because Donovan Mitchell may want to come home to New York. Who knows?
Oh, Mike, people are gonna like that.
I'm just like, but obviously, if you're Utah, you just got a first round pick out of the Nets for the Royce O'Neal trade.
Yeah, they're off to a good start. They're signing deals. One win begets another. So a team of Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell, and DeAndre Ayton. Where does that get you in terms of excitement? It's pretty good. Yeah.
So you're basically as good as the Atlanta Hawks at
Yeah.
that point with
Oh,
DeJounte
boy.
Murray. And
Ay, ay, ay.
yeah, it's the team I would like. So here's just top 3 off the top of my head trades that I would like to see. Okay. This is the Warriors play, which is you take all their young players plus Wiggins because he's the contract that works. Another former anti-vax bro who did get vaxxed, and you get all their first-round picks. Another team I like, and I'm being serious about this. KD to the Pelicans for Zion and all the picks the Pelicans got, which is the Bucks picks plus all their picks. Just give me Zion.
I mean, that's slightly more in the blowed up direction, but I mean, with at least a shiny yet a scuffed diamond, in the rough potentially.
Yeah. Zion is like kind of the ultimate Nets player because he hasn't proven anything and is completely damaged. And
we'll never see a guy like that play. I mean, however much the damaged goods that we damage undamaged goods. So what do we do to damage goods? Yeah.
Can you but think about the basketball fit of Ben Simmons and Zion. It would be just like the Bash Brothers, 2 bowling balls in the basketball court,
How fun
slamming
is
into each other as they try both to get to the hoop.
both just simultaneously leading that break. I'm into it, Mike. You're sold.
It'd be like if Sean Kemp and Barkley played together at their peaks. And then the other trade that I would think about is like I would think about if it's the Suns where it is Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and a bunch of picks, then you're like, okay, so it's Ben Simmons and Bridges, Ayton. Your defense would improve greatly. You turn Kyrie into something else. You probably send Kyrie to Dallas, back for Spencer Dinwiddie and something else because they're now going to lose Jalen Brunson. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, okay, well, the team's decent. And the Nets go back to being the team they were before Katie and Kyrie come, which is like a very competitive team that has a bunch of assets to then trade for superstars in the future. Like that's kind of the path. There's like a couple of paths laid out to them. Whatever path it is, the Nets are still in Brooklyn. And, are they more of a dumpster fire than the Knicks? Like you kind of have to say they are at the moment, but the Knicks are run by James Dolan, and maybe Josiah is actually just James Dolan in sheep's clothing, and we just don't know it.
I can't believe Kevin Durant didn't come out with this on the Et Ceteras podcast with Eddie Gonzalez. I can't believe that they were just sitting on this news like that whole time, just stone-faced.
Well, you remember it was 3 years ago today that Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and DeAndre Jordan signed, and the way we learned about that news was through the Boardroom's Instagram. Remember when we all had to sign up and follow the Boardroom's Instagram? Because we were told that KD would make his announcement there. It would be great for his pot. I mean, this is just cold-hearted capitalists like you and I are. It would be great if he said, on my podcast, I will announce what I'm going to do coming into the season.
Get behind this paywall. Get behind the paywall. Download it on Napster.com, Kazaa.com.
Oh, my Lord. This is just
torrent. Stream the torrent. Oh, Mike. What are we going to do? What
What do you want?
I'm
Honestly,
actually, this is how I don't know what it is about me. I move on really quickly, and I'm already just like, okay, yeah, let's let's think what we got here. Like the beginning half of this show was me. That was my emotional reaction. Now I'm ready to body up to the negotiation table here, Mike. Because look, if the thing was going to implode, and I have reason to suspect that there's like an above 50% chance that it was going to just after this season anyways, nip it in the bud, get the best value, get an extra year out of Kevin Durant's contract. You have Kyrie for the 1 year. Ben Simmons you have on for an obscene amount of time too. Like we're in a good negotiating position, despite the fact that Kevin Durant wants a trade, which is usually not the best negotiation position. So if we trade all 2 or 3 of those parts, it's a king's ransom, Mike.
I know this. Kevin Durant should fire Rich Kleiman because he never should have let Kevin sign that extension. Because imagine if Kevin Durant had the ability to be a free agent right now. 1, the Nets would be completely screwed. And 2, he could go wherever he wanted. But he can't. He has to. Because there's going to be some conversation out there that the Nets aren't going to have that much leverage. Because, Kevin Durant, if he doesn't want to go somewhere, he'll just say, yeah, I don't want to go to Utah. And on some level, the Nets are going to understand, and the Utah Jazz are going to understand that Kevin Durant probably doesn't want to play in Utah. But he signed a huge deal. 4 years left, right? I think it's 4 years left. The Nets, in the way that the Thunder traded Paul George and ended up getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and all those picks, the Nets have that amount of leverage, if not more.
Is there any more information about other than Miami and Phoenix?
The Suns?
Yeah.
Well,
Has there any?
Can I tell you something funny?
Mm-hmm.
There's some guy who is like a contractor in the Memphis area who says, I know a guy who used to be in the NBA who tells me that Ja and KD are trying to link up. So the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay. That's
some
real back channeling. I respect
I will
the
say, if we can point this out, thank you, Mr. Contractor in the Memphis area. If there's a team out there that the Nets could actually get a bunch of really good young players from and some future picks, because Grizzlies have future picks, the Grizzlies have a lot of ammo for a big trade.
They do. They got a lot of tasty wings too that we want.
They have the best amount of ammo of all the top teams. I'm just going to name the teams that have been in the playoffs, and you will get a sense of how the Heat have some assets. They have Tyler Hero and picks. The Celtics have Jaylen Brown and picks. The Bucks have nothing to offer. The 76ers, which there's rumors that the 76ers and Kyrie could be a connection point.
Yeah.
Dude, if they can get Tyrese Maxey and trade Kyrie, I would give up picks to get Tyrese Maxey.
I would do a lot of obscene things to get Kyrie and Harden back on the same team. It's somewhere else. that would be great.
The Chicago Bulls have like a Zach LaVine sign and trade situation, but if the Nets sign and trade, like KD's probably not going to go to the Bulls. The Suns are a team that have Ayton, Bridges, and some picks. Grizzlies have a bunch of young guys and picks. The Warriors have those collection of young players and picks. Dallas doesn't really have all that much to offer for KD. The Jazz have Donovan Mitchell, but again, is Kevin Durant going to really want to play in Utah? The Nuggets, I pray that the Nets don't accept a package of like Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and like a bunch of picks, because Michael Porter Jr. I think is going to have a really rough career coming out of his back injuries, like consistent back injury with that. The Timberwolves, can we get Anthony Edwards? No.
I mean, outside of the Memphis back channeling, like, first of all, amazing that, Kevin Durant would want to back channel with another star point guard. Does Kyrie feel cheated on? First question. Second, like, the idea that he's going to go from Brooklyn to Memphis to play with Jazz. So it's just like any of these teams, maybe this is just because of like the recent, shine on Brooklyn, but it seems like less of a good situation than we are, even basketball wise, to a certain extent. I mean, Phoenix, I think, obviously is like, that's a really good situation for him, especially for DeAndre Ayton, who, to your point, is, it's a skill set that's kind of like becoming harder to prioritize in the NBA in the first place. But I mean, Memphis would be such a great trade partner, to your point. So many good parts. Are you reading something?
Apparently, Zach Lowe's on ESPN talking about how none of this would have happened if Kyrie had gotten vaccinated, and that is 100% the case. It's been something I'm thinking about ever since we saw the tweet from Woj announcing that Rich Kleiman has requested a trade for his client out of Brooklyn. I don't want to do like whose fault this is yet because it's so fresh and new.
Well, we already know whose fault it is, so we can just keep it.
We need to say it. It
okay.
needs to be said.
Okay.
It's Kyrie Irving. I mean, there's a lot of cooks in that kitchen. A lot of cooks. It's not just Sookie from Gilmore Girls in the kitchen cooking up everything like she did for Gilmore Girls, played by, what's her name? Melissa McCarthy. There's a lot of cooks in that kitchen. It's Ratatouille. There's a lot of people, a lot of dishes. There's the sauce chef. There's the guy just on the meat. There's the guy just on the vegetables.
Is it? I don't even know that. Who are these people? It feels very like linear for me, actually. But I mean, I'm interested to hear more. But yeah,
it's Steve Nash's fault for being a bad coach. It's Kyrie's fault for being an anti-vaxxer. It's Sean Marks's fault for not understanding what his two stars really need in the moment. It's Joe Tsai's fault for being both an enabler and also a bad cop at times. It's Joe Harris's fault for walking around in the snow with his busted ankle, trying to get a cup of coffee. There's a lot of people to blame. But mostly it's Kyrie Irving. Mostly it's him.
I mean, like what we had here
and
was
also Kevin Durant. Frankly, Kevin Durant's to blame because he chose to play with Kyrie.
Yes, well, we had this like very short window of time to see if the personalities were compatible. Like we had this one very, very short period of time to see if there was evidence of the basketball working out. That was clear to me, to everybody. In that one beautiful second half of a season when we had Harden and Kyrie and KD, like we were saying, how they had a great offense, so on and so forth. But as time wore on, the personalities, that element started to rear its ugly head, Mike. And what can you do when you don't have personalities that mix and you already have... I mean, like, not having personalities mix is not the worst thing in the world. Like, if you look at Jordan's Bulls or whatever, it's like everyone hated each other all the time pretty much. There was, like, some mutual respect for some players. Like, Scottie and Michael liked each other to a certain extent, but they were also, like, not afraid to be combative with one another. This group of guys, like, they had no ability to... look across the aisle and do even like the respect you, combat you kind of dynamic. Like that, none of that was gonna work. And so it imploded very quickly, and it was exacerbated by Kyrie's not playing because of his really, really dumb vaccination stance. So, and we started out this season, Mike, a year ago, 9 months ago, whatever it was, by saying like if Kyrie Irving ruined our championship window because of his vaccination stance, we would never be able to forgive him. I remember saying those words. I said that. I don't know if you said that, but I think you nodded your head, and maybe you weren't even listening, but you were just nodding your head with your eyes rolled in your back of your head, and just the way you are now. And do we still feel like that's true? I mean, like for me, it's less complicated. There's less people at if you're one of the three best players in this team, you're ostensibly a leader. It's on you to exhibit the leadership qualities. It's on you to congeal those personalities. Clearly that never happened. And now, again, Mike, don't listen to what people say. Watch what they do. Kevin Durant, you're going to hear him say, love Kyrie. Love him. Watch what he does. What did he do, Mike? He left quickly.
And again, that's why I blame... A lot of people are on Twitter have hated Sean Marks while this public squabble with Kyrie has been happening. And... You have to blame, regardless of how much you like Sean Marks and how he's drafted and the smart moves that he's made, because he's made a bunch of them. Again, he built the team that made it so Kyrie and Kevin Durant would want to come here. Though, what a gift. I am looking that gift horse right in the mouth.
Yeah.
I'm staring at that mouth and it's some busted teeth because that was not a gift. It was a Trojan horse, if you will.
Definitely a horse of some kind, though. It's definitely a horse.
Like organizationally, if you can't, we've seen in the past Kevin Durant move from one team to another. He went from Oklahoma City to the Warriors, and the Warriors were a championship team, way more stable. They had better leadership. So when Kevin Durant went there, he elevated the team, he elevated his play, and they won championships. He tried to import his own culture into Brooklyn because the Nets, while had a nice, cute culture, ultimately wasn't like what the team needed to win championships. And him and Kyrie joined forces, and it's an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Again, we're going to talk about all this. The thing, just looking forward, Royce O'Neal's fit with Ben Simmons, Brian.
You like it. You like that fit. That's a good fit.
I do like. I actually wish Royce O'Neal could play with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons because Royce is a good player.
Be good. Yeah, Mike. It was fun while it lasted. But like we were saying, like it doesn't like this is not the crew where it gets better with time. It just doesn't feel that way to me. And if everyone's dug in on their sides and it seems like they are, then what's to be done, Mike? What's to be done? But move forward.
Woj has said that more than half of the league has already called Brooklyn about the possibility of acquiring Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I would hope everybody gets there pretty quick.
Yeah. like which teams aren't at least texting Marks and just saying
sup,
like
just a sup question mark.
Hey guys, when you talk to someone at work and you want something from them, but you have to back into the request. Sean, how's the weather in Brooklyn? Right? Like, how's it
That's
going?
How you're gonna at me with a how's the weather question?
It was. Oh, by the way, Sean. Oh, by the way, I heard some news.
That's the fastest way to get left on red I've ever heard, Mike. That's the.
I'm going to go down the list of the top. This is the end of the episode. The top point scorers in the NBA this past season. I'm going to name them by name. Do you think the Nets could actually get them in a trade for Kevin Durant? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis.
No.
Luka.
No.
Jokic.
No.
Jimmy Butler.
If he wanted to, yeah.
Curry.
No.
Ja.
No. No.
Just say no. Brandon Ingram.
I don't think that was what you would want to get back. I mean,
but could the Nets get them?
I think so. I think you could probably get Brandon Ingram. I think I would say if that was your deal, then you probably can get that.
Jason Tatum.
Again, yeah, I'll throw him in with the Ingram situation. Doesn't make sense for either side, but like I think it's possible.
Okay. Donovan Mitchell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Embiid. No.
No.
Devin Booker. Yeah.
I think you do. I think you do easy, actually.
Devin, it would be very wild if the Suns traded Devin Booker for Durant. If the Nets could get Devin Booker for Durant, even if it meant like a straight up 1-for-1, I would be very happy with that.
Are you worried about Eskimo brother tension, though, between him and Ben Simmons? Got him. Dirty
That's
dogs.
the problem. All those people we're naming, Ben Simmons has had some personal or professional interactions with that have not, like Jimmy Butler. Like if there was no Ben Simmons equation, thinking okay, if they got Jimmy Butler, he's such a psycho that if he came to Brooklyn and was traded for Durant, he would take that as a personal affront and he would win the MVP that next season. But he hates Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons probably hates him. I don't think Ben Simmons cares
Why do they
about
have to hate
Devin
it just because
Booker.
they dated the same girl? What is this? What are we?
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown. Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
And then after that, it's like
Easy yes.
let me ask you this: Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you get it. I think that relationship has gone, spun in neutral long enough.
Royce O'Neal. Oh, he's already in that. Thank God.
Thank God.
All right.
Good exercise, though. Fun exercise. Did you agree with my answers? But you seem to balk at the Tatum thing.
I don't think Tatum is one of the most untradeable players. I think he's firmly in Boston. If Danny Ainge was in Boston, I think it would be possible. But I don't think it's possible. I don't think Brad Stevens would trade Tatum. I think if anything, it would be like Jaylen Brown, all of our picks, Marcus Smart. It'd basically be you can have everything else, but whatever.
I consistently underrate Tatum. It's baked in there. I just have a long-standing bias against him. Did you freeze? Okay, well that's the end of the show. Mike froze, so I'm going to be wrapping this one up solo for the YouTube. At BK Glue Guys on Twitter. Discord, join the Discord. There's going to be spicy takes. It's on fire right now. I can see my CPU heating up with all the spicy takes. That's discord.gg/glue guys, or you can find the link in the YouTube description below, or in the Twitter bio. netsdaily.com, best source for Nets news. The Athletic, best source for all the other kinds of news. Get behind the paywall. Mike, thank you so much for joining me on this incredibly important episode. Had to land the plane solo, but we're out of here, guys. Okay. Bye-bye. Take care.